Hello, my name's Kelly Shaw and I've been in the beauty industry for over 25 years. I've been really lucky to have been able to hold some fantastic positions throughout my career, such as getting to a senior corporate position with companies like Dermalogica and the Four Seasons hotels. I've worked as a spa consultant, and 12 years ago I founded K-Spa, a multi-award winning salon based in Hampshire. I also now work as a salon business coach, and whilst working with my salon owner clients, I use the principles from the book that I've also written, How to Make Your Salon Work So You Don't Have to. I'd love to share one of those principles with you today, which is all about profit vampires. What's a profit vampire, you're probably saying? We'll get to that in a minute, but first, I've got a couple of questions for you. Do any of these scenarios sound familiar to you? That you're crazy busy, working your socks off all month, but then at the end of the month, there's not any money left? Or do you find that some months you can be really busy and make money, whereas some months you can be just as busy, but not make any money, and there's no real consistency and you don't understand why? Or do your numbers just not add up? And you're finding that being a brilliant therapist just isn't enough to give you the rewards financially and the freedom that you're looking for from your business? If you've answered yes to any of those, then this is the video for you. I understand that the financial side of the business isn't really often the strength of us as therapists and as salon owners. But here's the problem. If we don't understand our numbers, then we will end up doing far too much work for far too little reward. When I first start working with some of the salon owners that I coach, I always get, yes, but I love what I do and I just do it for the joy. But at the end of the day, if your business isn't making you a profit, then it's not going to be around for very much longer. Now, I'm not an accountant and I don't claim to know everything about the financial side of your business. I'm a salon owner, just like you, who decided that it was about time I got to grips with my numbers if I wanted my business to give me the lifestyle that I wanted from it. So if I can get to grips with my numbers, then I'm sure you can too. And I'm going to share some basic concepts in this video which are very easy to implement so that you can make sure that all of your hard work pays off and pays you better. Did you know that about 80% of your profits will come from just 20% of the treatments on your price list? It's true. And that's a little bit scary when you think about, and I'm going to make a huge generalization here, so don't crucify me, but most salons don't actually put too much thought into their pricing when they first open their salon. I know I didn't. Most of us just take a look at our competitors and probably price ourselves somewhere in the middle. Are you guilty of that? Now, what that means is that our price list has got absolutely nothing to do with our business. We haven't got the costs involved. We haven't even looked at profit and what we want to be making from these treatments. Now, I am guilty as charged. When I first opened my salon, I created a price list, I looked around at competitors, and I priced myself somewhere in the middle, maybe slightly higher than a few of the businesses that were around us. But what I hadn't done was I hadn't put any of my costings in. I didn't know how much money I wanted to make from those treatments. And without realizing it, I'd created myself a price list full of profit vampires. And I went through all of those scenarios that we spoke about at the beginning of this video. Some months we'd make lots of money, other months we wouldn't. There was no consistency. And I just couldn't understand why, being a really busy salon that was pretty much fully booked all the time, I wasn't really making the money that I'd expected to make from the business. Without actually realizing it, I'd created a price list full of profit vampires that were sucking the lifeblood out of my business. Let me explain that in a little bit more detail. When I started looking at what was happening on a busy day, for example, or on a month when we were making money, I noticed that if we did more of our more advanced treatments, of our facial treatments, then the salon was great. We were making profits and we had money at the end of the month. But if it had been a month that had been focused more on nails, for instance, I noticed that that was a month when we didn't make as much money. So I started to delve into this a little bit deeper, and I actually came up with a little bit of a shock, because what I also realised is that when it came to nails, gels in particular, when we were offering a free removal to our clients who were having their gels redone, with all the time and the costs, and when I looked at it properly, I actually realised that by offering that free removal, I was actually paying the client £1 to have that treatment with me. So not only was there a profit vampire eating up all my profit, but it was actually costing me money as well. And this definitely isn't the way that I wanted to run my business. To give you another example of profit vampires, I'm going to talk to you about the price list of one of the salons that I coach. And when she first came to me, they're a waxing salon. And when she first came to me, she didn't understand why, again, they weren't making the profits that they expected to be making. And I had a look at her price list and instantly saw some profit vampires. Now, it was a waxing salon. So basically, she had 2 full-time therapists. They both worked about 39 hours a week and they both waxed all day. So you would expect them to pretty much bring in the same amount of revenue. Well, if you went by her price list as it currently stood, you'd be completely wrong. She had one of her therapists who did a majority of maybe underarm waxing. And let's say she brought in about £780 worth of revenue each week. Whereas another one of her therapists was busy doing mostly Brazilian waxing. And she was generating about £1,950 in revenue per week. So that's 2 therapists working the same hours, waxing, same treatment group, if you like, all day, but that's a difference in revenue of about £1,170. You're looking about £900 worth of profit that's being eaten by the profit vampire. And that is a lot of profit that we can't afford to lose. So what I'd like to introduce to you now is a simple formula which will enable you to be able to see whether you have any profit vampires lurking within your price list. It's called the pence per minute formula. Now, what I need you to do is I need you to grab a copy of your price list, and what I want you to do is next to every single treatment price that you charge, I want you to write the number of minutes that you book for that treatment. Not necessarily the number of minutes it takes you to do the treatment, but what you actually book out for the diary. So for example, at K-Spa, we do a 60-minute facial, but we book 70 minutes out of the diary so that we've got time for consultation and aftercare and everything else. So I would write 70 minutes next to the cost of that treatment. So grab your price lists and let's take a look. Now, when we're talking pence and minutes, it doesn't really seem a lot, does it? But I can assure you it can be really, really dangerous, and those profit vampires can soon add up. Let's look back at the example I gave you of my waxing salon coaching client. And the 2 treatments we were comparing were the underarm wax and the Brazilian. Now, at the time, they charged £10 for their underarm wax and they booked out 30 minutes. And I think that makes about 33 pence per minute that that's what their charge was. When it came to the Brazilian, they charged £25, but they also booked out 30 minutes. So that gave them about an 83p pence per minute. So you can see, I know it's only 50p difference, but you can imagine the difference that it has if you've got treatments on your price list where either you've got too much time associated with them or not enough of a higher price associated. Because in the time that one of her therapists was doing one Brazilian, the other one was only doing one underarm wax. And that's where these profit vampires come in. And because it wouldn't be a typical day that all day they were just doing one or the other, so it was easy to distinguish, that's why they couldn't understand why sometimes they made the money and sometimes they didn't, because these profit vampires like to hide. So once you've gone through your price list and you've written down all of the time for each treatment that you book out next to the cost, and you've worked out the pence per minute for each treatment that you offer, I'm sure you're going to see that that pence per minute fluctuates quite a lot. Now, once you've done that, the question that I often usually get is, well, Kelly, that's great. I know what I'm doing, but how do I know what I should set as my minimum pence per minute? And that's what we're going to take a look at now. So we're going to go through a simple formula that will help you to calculate the minimum pence per minute that you should be charging. And I say minimum because at the end of the day, if the market allows it, you should be charging as much as you possibly can per minute. And I'll explain that in a bit more detail in a moment. So first of all, let's go through the formula to set your minimum pence per minute. Now, I'm going to talk you through the formula first, and then we'll look at a practical example afterwards. But I want to firstly make sure that everybody understands the process of how to actually work the minimum pence per minute that you should be charging. So the first step is to take your target turnover for the year. That's step number one. And then we're going to divide that by 39 weeks. Now, we choose to use 39 weeks rather than 52 because it then allows for staff holiday, for staff sickness, any quiet days or periods, because we're pretty much not going to be fully booked for the whole year. So your total turnover target for the year divided by 39, and then you're going to divide that answer by the number of hours that a full-time therapist works for you. You're then going to divide that answer by the total number of full-time therapists that you have. Now, if you have part-timers, that's absolutely fine. What you will do is you will add up all of the hours of your part-time therapists and then divide those hours by the number of hours your full-time therapist does, and then add that to the total of full-time therapists that you have. Again, this will become a little bit simpler when we look at the practical example in just a moment. Once you've got that answer, you're going to divide that by 60, and that ends up with your minimum pence per minute that you should be charging your clients. So it can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to go through it again, and this time I've got some practical examples so that it can start to make a bit more sense in your head. So we're going to take the target turnover for this made up salon that I've got, and our target turnover is £200,000 for the year. That's what we're aiming to achieve this year in this fictional salon. So I take the 200,000 and divide that by 39 weeks. And that gives me a total of £5,128.21. I now need to divide that by the number of hours that my full-time therapists do. So for this example, we've chosen 40 hours. So I divide by 40 hours per week, which gives me £128.21. I'm then going to divide that by the number of full-time therapists that I have. Now, in this fictional example, we have 2 full-time therapists and 1 part-time who works, 2 full-time that work the 40 hours and a part-time that works 20 hours. So that basically gives me 2.5 full-time therapists. So I divide my answer by 2.5 and that gives me £51.28. I divide that answer by 60 minutes and it gives me 85 pence per minute, which is the minimum that this salon should be charging for the treatments within their price list. So this would then allow them to be able to see whether they've got treatments that they need to review or whether they've got treatments that are actually falling within that or higher, and that we need to look now, where are the profit vampires? What are the treatments that are coming below that 85 pence per minute minimum that this salon should be charging? When I share this formula with the salon owners that I coach, I can pretty much guarantee that I will always get this one question. And that question is, Kelly, when I work out the minimum pence per minute that I should be charging for XYZ treatment, it comes to this. And that's a price that my clients won't pay. What am I supposed to do? So I've got 3 answers for you. The one, and my top answer, is do it anyway. You'll probably choke off demand, and the ones that you do will be a lot more profitable. And this is what we did at K-Spa with our nails, with our removals. We started charging for them, which choked off the demand for a lot of our nail services, but it meant the ones that we did do, they were a lot more profitable. And also, it also freed up our diary so that clients were able to book our more profitable treatments like facials and our advanced. So it was a win-win. The second answer that I come to that question with is, well, if you need to keep the price the same, can you adjust the time? Because if you can do the treatment quicker, then that will also increase your minimum pence per minute formula, won't it? So again, we'll make it more profitable. So if you can't change the price, can you change the time? And that's something that you should always look out for. The third answer that I give to that question would be, well, don't do anything. And if this is the option that you choose, then I would hazard a guess that there's some mindset issues and some limiting beliefs that are holding you back from actually charging your worth. And this is something that I look at in much more detail in my book, How to Make Your Salon Work So You Don't Have to. It's a process that I've been through. I've been there. I was not charging what we should have been charging. I didn't understand my profits. And the pence per minute formula is just one sort of process within making sure you can guarantee your profits. You also need to look at your costings and your cash flow. And this is all something that I go through in the book. So if this has given you a little bit of a taster and you'd like some more information or a little bit more help and guidance, then feel free to contact me. I'd be more than happy to help. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I hope I've inspired you to take action. But if you do need some guidance and you want me to go through this with you, then you can contact me through my website or email me, and I will be more than happy to talk you through how you can make sure you're getting the profits and kicking those profit vampires out of your price list.